Hi, this is Mrs. Duncan, and in 15 minutes or less, I'm going to try to explain, show you how to do the web article evaluation assignment for this assignment here as part of our SA2 evaluation. A different video is on a database article. This is on a web article that we find in a Google search on the same topic. My topic for this example is soda taxes and their impact on obesity as a possible solution. We're going to have our oh crap questions, and then there's specific ones that we have to look at with websites. The name of the website, who sponsors it, if it's a .com, .edu, .org, what the information means, if they're trying to sell you something, if it asks for personal information, and where are they getting their information, okay? Do they tell you where? Is it up to date? And of course, remembering that you always have to have a citation for web articles, any article, anything, and if you haven't created one, that has to be created. So for the purposes of this assignment, I had done a web search there. I picked this one. It's a .edu. I see that up here, which means it's from an educational institution. I needed to have one that had an author, so I do have that. And I'm going to kind of skim through and just kind of make sure it's long enough, have something to write about. Not terribly long, but good length. Okay, good. Then I'm going to just go ahead and down and scroll to the bottom because that's going to tell me a lot of information. It's going to tell me and show me that, oh, this is put out. Berkeley is not the city, but the University of California that's in Berkeley, their School of Public Health. So that's what that information at the bottom tells me. And there is, if I went to the menu, there is an About Us page. And that's always something you want to look for on websites. Is there About Us page? Usually a paragraph here, and we find out, okay, wow, we want to know if it's reputable. It says the CDC, remember them, recognizes Berkeley Public Health as one of 9 health promotion and disease prevention research centers around the nation. That's pretty reputable. Their campus has a commitment to social justice. They have a lot of alumni. They have access to just the best networks across the state and worldwide. As part of that system, they're able to collaborate. So this is just all the little things you can say in your evaluation according to their website. You know, they say this about themselves and this about themselves, but the sponsor of the website is the University of California, Berkeley School of Public Health. This is their website. It's not a copycat website, it's theirs. There's all the things that we need to verify that. So when we go back to the assessment, we have, you know, the first couple of things there to kind of write about, plus the .edu that verifies it is an educational site. Now, if they were trying to sell something, I would have run into it by now. And they also a request for personal information. So neither, because that's not the purpose of this site, okay? It's public health, and they're making their information public to anywhere, but it's really for California, Berkeley. So we go to number 4, are statistics and data supported by properly documented sources? For that, we're going to have to look inside the article. Okay. So first of all, the person writing this, Austin Price, which we would look up for the A, authority, is, oh, we didn't do C. Let's do C. August 24th, 2019. Okay, so not too terribly old, you know, given that I'm doing this in 2022. Okay. And then he asks, why does Professor Christine Madsen advocate or support soda taxes? And he starts quoting her. So he's told us right away his source for this information is this professor. And we find out real quickly who it is, a pediatrician and faculty director of the Berkeley Food Institute, who has studied the outcome of soda taxes since they were first levied, which means first put there in Berkeley. Quotes has a lot of data here and about the taxes, which is kind of common information in that area, but they tell you, you know, what that information is. And then they quote someone else, a renowned food science expert, Marion Nessel, PhD, Master's in Public Health, MPH, called the campaign a textbook example of how to do food systems advocacy. What I'm showing you is exactly what I'm talking about here, is what sources are they using? Okay, and this list is really linked to the reliability. Is it up to date? Goes with currency, yes. And but where are they getting their information from? And are they telling you? And this one is really focused on this professor's research. I'll show you a different example if I have time. Says Madsen, currently 40% of this revenue goes to the Berkeley United School District. Jezra Thompson, the program supervisor of that. So they've gotten someone who knows about that. There's another source. Um, Mostly it's on Madsen with a few other people that are experts on that, on their area. Here's another one, Xavier Morales, the executive director of the Praxis Project, a nonprofit health organization. So like most news articles, they're going to tell you what the source is in the actual article itself. If you were in an academic article, they would have references or works cited at the end, but this one just stops, and that's pretty typical. All right, when we look at authority, we find out that Austin Price, okay, so that gets this, kind of, how can you trace it? Well, you could, I guess you could, you could sort of do a Google search on it, but because it relies mostly on Madsen, Professor Madsen, he does have a link, and so we go to that link and we find out that this is who he's interviewed, gotten most of his information from, okay? And then we get her credentials, professor at the School of Public Health, faculty director. And look at this, we have more information. We have her biography, says, which he used part of there, a pediatrician and research scientist with expertise in the design and evaluation of interventions, which soda tax would be an intervention related to pediatric obesity and other things related. Her research team recently conducted the first study to examine the long-term impacts of the soda tax on sugar-sweetened beverages there in low-income neighborhoods in Berkeley. We have her research interests, which isn't as helpful. We have her degrees. We have her publications. And if we click on that, we're actually able to go to academic journals that she was a part of. See Madsen K right there. She's one of other researchers that have done some work here over the years. I'm going to do newest to oldest, and there it goes. So this was 2022. This article was 2019. So we would roll back a little bit and we could maybe get to our actual research, which is really cool. Here's some trends, and they studied them over 2011 to 2018. I feel like there was one that was 2019, and I'm skimming through, just not seeing it right off, but maybe it was updated. But we can actually go through and find, there it is. Just didn't have the, there it is, 2019. Implementation of the first U.S. sugar sweetened beverage tax in Berkeley, 2015 to 2019. So that's really valuable. You don't usually see that. This means this website has gone up in value tremendously in terms of what we would have say it's really good because it's linking us to the abstract, to it with the actual research. You can, that's really wonderful. And so we can't get to the actual article because we don't have a subscription to that particular publication, PubMed, or maybe we could get the free full text if we needed it. But we're not evaluating this article. We're evaluating the one we started with, right? And we find out that he's relied on someone who's an expert, although he himself, Austin, is not an expert. So when we go back to authority, we would notice and say, well, it's not that the writer, Austin Price, is the authority, but he interviews an authority. And yes, Dr. Madsen is an expert in the field, and you would talk about that person's credentials, Dr. Madsen's, that we looked at there when we looked. So the purpose, of course, is to find out, if it had worked. They had implemented the tax in 2015, and her research showed that it made some kind of difference there. Okay, it certainly reduced the consumption. So you look at the origin, you look at the currency, you check, other things really have to dig in and really sift through on a web article. They're not all of them that uh, academic seeming. That started out as a newspaper article and then became more academic because he interviewed someone with academic credentials. So NPR, if you've heard of that, it does ask you to want to donate. Um, it's got an author, U.S. soda taxes, studies suggest work, but maybe not as well as hoped around the same time, February 2019. We see it says news. I don't see a menu for about us, so we're going to have to go down to the bottom. This is focused more on Connecticut. How about that? Look at that. I did not know this when I picked this. They also talk about Dr. Madsen, Associate Professor of Public Health at University of California, Berkeley, because, she's one of the researchers, key researchers. So they quote her too and use her as a source in here. Because it's a .com, oh no, it's not, it's a .org. It's not selling anything. You can get into this free, but it's going to have sponsors because, you have to have money. They tell about the study. They have a link. So it was published by the American Journal of Public Health. Ooh, now this is valuable when they link to something like that. This is an academic source right here. Okay, so if we were going to look at it, we would see how that has references at the end, full text. You'd have to pay for. Okay, that's the downside of getting to these high-end sources through the web because you have to have um, a subscription, but at least we know where it can be found, right? We can see the abstract. We know that this is published in a very well-known academic journal, and it has these different things. So that's pretty cool, and it linked us to it. Let me go back right here. Okay. Another person, Anna Tuchman, I'm not sure, and then so it has links to their paper. And then it says the soda industry has been fighting back. So they have a link to an article earlier, about 6 months earlier. And so, the NPR is a pretty reputable source. They did do a correction. They updated it in February. And then let's see, we go down to the bottom. If you're not familiar, you have to still answer the question, what is the NPR and who puts it out? About NPR. That's what we're looking for, the overview. It stands originally, I know this, for National Public Radio, but you may not know that, and you've got to go through and see that. It tells you about how it's an independent, nonprofit media organization. Its mission and purpose is to create a more informed public. Okay, it used to mostly start out on radio stations. Um, tells you a little bit about it there. It's been around for a while. It's got editors and so forth. Public radio. Go to the home page. So that's the kind of stuff you just have to search through. You either go all the way to the bottom and find out about NPR, about us, or at the top. Um, you can also Google it. You can try to, search and see more about it if you're not finding the information that you think you need. Okay. Oh, it's taking me there instead. That didn't work the way I hoped. But anyway. So websites, you've got to look up those sponsors, see what it is, tell us about them, find out. Maybe you just put a question: is NPR reputable? And there was a study by the Pew Research Center that said they had a similar level of listener trust as CNN, NBC, and ABC. But another survey in 2005 found that NPR was the most trusted news source in the United States. So there's different things here on their credibility if you want to kind of dig even deeper. Okay, we're coming up to it. That's pretty much how you do that. You collect that information, copy paste this into a document, make sure you have that citation, and then post here for your answers.